Good afternoon, and you're very welcome to the program. You're listening to SIRAJ ZAIDI until 4 o'clock local time and 9:30 until India time, and wherever you are listening me. Set your clock accordingly, and this is your own Apna radio broadcasting at 93.9 Dublin South FM every Thursday. Your own local broadcaster brings you the international news and some news from India. And that is the name of the game of my show. And particularly, the show is now getting to the public and to the people. Congratulations to the team and to myself. The listenership has gone up really since we have actually tagged along on the YouTube. And we have crossed over 500,000, what I've been talking about, 500,000 hits and listeners all over the world who do care to listen what I have to say. And why not? Because I don't talk, as I call it, a BS. I talk about the sense, I talk about the reality, a well-researched program, a program that has been researched by Charmaine Colvin when it comes to the news and when it comes to critical topics from India. Sharad does his bit in a much more in-depth and all that. So this is something which is very important. And without further ado, time for news. Charmaine, you take it away. I will be shut up, and then you can take it away, the stage. And I'll be back as soon as you finish. So take it easy, and good luck to listen to the news.
Good afternoon. I'm Charmaine Colvin, and you are listening to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM. On India this week, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi opened one of the country's longest expressways on Wednesday, connecting 12 districts over nearly 600 kilometres in the most populous state of Uttar Pradesh. The expressway has been built at a cost of 362.30 billion rupees, that's around $3.82 billion, by Adani Enterprises and IRB infrastructure developers. The 6-lane Greenfield corridor, the longest in the northern state, will significantly reduce the time taken to travel from Meerut in the east to Prayagraj in the west, covering 594 kilometres. Named after the holy Ganga River that flows through the state, the government expects the expressway to be a launchpad for industrial corridors. The Indian government has significantly increased its spending on infrastructure after the COVID-19 pandemic, with a record 12.2 trillion rupees allotted for spending in this year's budget. A slew of recent projects connecting major cities have been part of a broader push by the government to enhance agricultural and industrial development and boost tourism in cities and towns. India issued a notification late on Tuesday proposing amendments to the Central Motor Vehicles rules to formally incorporate higher ethanol blended fuels. The Ministry of Road Transport and Highways said the draft includes provisions for E85 fuel, a blend of 85% ethanol with petrol, and E100, which would allow vehicles to run on nearly pure ethanol. The draft rules have been opened for public comments, after which the government will take a final decision. India achieved its target of 20% ethanol blending in petrol in 2025 and is now looking to increase blending further to reduce costly imports of petroleum products. Tensions in the Middle East are rippling far beyond the region and are now being felt in India's glass city, Firozabad, where thousands of jobs are at risk. In the city in northern Uttar Pradesh state, about 50 kilometres from the famed Taj Mahal, glass is at the centre of life. Firozabad produces 70% of the country's glass, much of it in small and medium-sized factories. The industry employs some 150,000 people who earn between 500 rupees, around £3.91, and 1,000 rupees a day, incomes that leave little margin for rising prices. Now those factories are under strain, and the biggest reason is gas. Glass making depends on a steady supply of natural gas to keep furnaces running at extremely high temperatures. But as tensions disrupt energy flows from the Middle East, supplies have become uncertain and costs have risen. Much of the disruption is linked to the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow shipping route in the Gulf through which nearly half of India's gas imports pass. While some shipments have resumed in recent weeks, factory owners say the benefits are yet to reach them. More than 400 small manufacturing clusters here make glass items ranging from car headlamp covers and bangles to light shades, decorative items and chandeliers, feeding a domestic market worth over $200 million. Some owners report losses of 25 to 40% since the war began and say they are uncertain how long they can continue if supplies remain unstable. A recent UN Development Programme report warns that the conflict could push as many as 2.5 million people in India into poverty. A man in eastern India has said he was forced to carry his sister's skeletal remains to a bank to prove her death after failing to withdraw her savings. A video from Odisha state of Jitumunda, 52, taking the remains to the bank went viral this week, sparking outrage. He said he acted in frustration after repeated attempts to access the money without being able to show official proof of death. Police said he exhumed the woman's remains to bring them to the bank. The bank denied asking for this, saying they only demanded legally required documents. It added that the incident appeared to stem from a lack of awareness of procedures and that the money has since been handed over to the legal heirs. The incident, which took place in Keonjhar district on Monday, drew national attention, with many criticising local authorities and the bank for failing to help the man. Odisha's Revenue Minister Suresh Pujari said the case was under investigation and that action will be taken against the branch manager over his alleged conduct. The Keonjhar district administration also expressed deep concern, saying protecting people's rights and dignity was a priority. And finally, a spectacular brass astrolabe, or a handheld astronomical computer from the 17th century, once part of the royal collection of Jaipur City in western India, will go under the hammer at Sotheby's in London this week. The object is perhaps the largest in existence and has never been exhibited before. Known to be part of the royal collection of Maharaja Sawai Man Singh II of Jaipur, it was passed on to his wife, Maharani Gayatri Devi, one of the most glamorous women of her time, after his death. It then moved to a private collection during her lifetime. Astrolabes are metallic discs with multi-layered interlocking components that were historically used to tell the time, map the stars, the direction of Mecca, and the motion of the sky. Sotheby's say the piece's pristine condition and royal provenance is expected to attract keen interest from museums and collectors, with the piece coming to the market at an estimate of 1.5 to 2.5 million. The current record is held by an Ottoman astrolabe made for Sultan Bayezid II, which was a much smaller piece, sold in 2014 for just under 1 million. And that's all from me. You are listening to Apna Radio, 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Many thanks, Charmaine, for a lovely news item that you have actually put together. And indeed, the artifacts, the valuable jewelry, the valuable, things that has been actually been under the British Empire is now, is still around in the museums and things like that. So it's a valuable item, as we call it, is still there. Anyway, what's going on in India is something that surprises everybody. A woman taking her, the remains of her relatives to the bank in order to withdraw the money. That is just unacceptable. That is just despicable, is the fact of life in India, but nothing is surprising in India. What we're going to talk about it today is to cover the judicial discrepancies and the excessive, the problems in the legal system in India, and extrajudicial killing that has been also so-called the encounter killing, as we call. Has been called, and that encounter has been featured in many films, in Bollywood films, and where the police officers who are sharpshooters are praised for their encounter killing. A film coming to my mind is called Ab Tak Chappan. Up to now is 36 up to now, and the name it was played by no other than the wonderful actor Nana Patekar, who kills 36 people on an encounter killing, and therefore appropriately called Ab Tak Chappan. This is something which is disturbing to the international listeners and the people around the world, But I'm going to play a little clip from Rajiv Sardesai, which just came to my attention recently, today, in fact, when I was just preparing the show. And therefore, I thought, why not? I'll play that and then play the Sharad clip, which has been also talking about exactly the same thing. So back to back, I'm going to play both things, and then I'll come back to comment on the penal reform trust, if there is such a thing in India. But there is, this is a custodial killing in custody. There was another film called In Custody, which was produced by Ismail Merchant and starring Shashi Kapoor in that. And that is also it's a big issue, the killing in custody when you are under the police custody and everything. Anyway, just listen to yourself and make up your mind and just see what it's all about. So sit back, relax, and listen to this particular clip.
It's delivered to a father Stan Swami. An what indeed is the justice that is delivered to a father Stan Swami, an octogenarian priest who is arrested under UAPA only because he demanded tribal rights? And what is the delivery of justice in his case when the old man is denied a straw sipper by the courts and denied a straw sipper as an 82-year-old who eventually dies in custody? And contrast him with a Subroto Roy Sahara, who's given special facilities in Tihar jail, Wi-Fi and whatever else he needs. We are a grossly unequal society, and our justice mirrors the inequality. The judge who watches me out there knows the state of our legal aid system. He knows how many lawyers actually will appear pro bono for those who are denied access to justice. And that, my friends, is the reality of the topic we are confronted with today. Each and every one of us demands justice for victims. You don't need a candlelight vigil to demand justice. You need a heart and a conscience that believes in the constitution our founding fathers and mothers gave us.
Today, we are challenging an institutional practice in India that is so normal that we don't even talk about it. It is part of our lives, and because it is continuing for so long, no one is challenging it seriously. This practice is ruining our constitutional fundamentals. It is ruining the institutions of India. On March 8th this year, a 26-year-old man, Akash Delison, he died in a hospital in Tamil Nadu, allegedly for injuries sustained in police custody. You would have guessed, we are talking about deaths in police custody in India. Weeks later, his body remains in the morgue because his family is refusing to do the last rites until accountability is fixed. This symbolism is stark. In a civilization where death rituals are sacrosanct, justice has been made a precondition for dignity. It's a contest between human rights, a dignity, and setting the system's accountability. And this is not an isolated act of grief. It is a political statement about the failure of enforcement of Constitution of India. Akash's death sits alongside others that have accumulated into a very troubling pattern. Recently in Sivaganga district, again in Tamil Nadu, a 27-year-old Ajit Kumar, he was a temple watchman, a security guard. He died within days of being detained in a robbery case. Later, Central Bureau of Investigation found that the charges were baseless. His post-mortem recorded nearly 40 injuries, but the life of a poor man has been taken away. In 2020, Jairaj and his son Benix, they died after alleged custodial torture for a minor lockdown violation. And this prompted a very rare judicial severity. And this year, 9 policemen were sentenced to death. So these cases that I just mentioned, they are just few of them. And they differ in details, but they converge on a single fact: the use of coercive violence as a routine instrument of policing in India. If you gather the numbers across the country, across the civil society of India, the numbers reinforce a very dark narrative. Civil society has recorded 1,731 custodial deaths in 2019. That's roughly 5 a day. In 2022 alone, nearly 2,000 prisoners died in judicial custody and 159 classified as unnatural deaths. Official data from the Human Rights Commission of India indicates approximately 2,400 such deaths in 2023, which next year rose to 2,739 deaths. Between 2025 and mid-March 2026 this year, about 170 custodial deaths are recorded. These figures are not just statistics. They are revealing a continuity, a scale, and an institutional, a societal tolerance and normalization of deaths happening in the custody of the government. Now, one may say that my stories are all skewed towards Tamil Nadu. No, they are recent. But then if you see the distribution of the numbers that I gave for last 5 years, these are states as Bihar, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and these repeatedly appear with high incidences. More significantly, the victims are disproportionately drawn from marginalized communities of India like Dalits, Adivasis, Muslims, migrant laborers. Therefore, what this is showing is the custodial deaths, rather generally custodial violence, it mirrors India's social hierarchy. It does not disrupt it. It is actually cementing that this stratification continues to divide India. It continues to construct India's social fabric. This persistent demands a structural explanation. So who would give that? Let's see why this is being pursued. The origins of India's policing system lie in the Police Act of 1861, which was enacted after the revolt of 1857. So the primary purpose was colonial power structure. The purpose was not citizen service, but imperial control. The colonial state required a force that could discipline Indian population, suppress dissent, and extract absolute compliance to the crown. Now, the transition to independent India did not dismantle this architecture. It merely repurposed it, and the coercive orientation remains largely intact. But independent India layered constitutional safeguards over this structure. Article 21 guarantees the right to life and personal liberty. So both are existing together. Like from the judicial pronouncement from D.K. Basu versus State of West Bengal to the 2020 directives on CCTV installation in police stations, they have attempted to regulate police conduct. Yet, the implementation have been absolute uneven. Thousands of police stations lack functional surveillance systems. Cameras exist, coverage is partial, and the storage of the footage is inadequate. The Supreme Court's 2006 directive to establish police complaint authorities have breaches across many states in India. That's another thing. So that was one part of the big story, the custodial deaths. The other part is the torture. So India lacks a standalone law criminalizing torture. Offences are prosecuted under general provision of penal code, but it dilutes and weakens deterrence. Witness protection remains fragile, we know that. Victims' family face intimidation, procedural delay, and financial strain. The result is predictable. We can see low conviction rates and a culture of impunity. The Global Torture Index classifies India as a high-risk country for torture and ill treatment, alongside jurisdictions marked by systemic violence. United Nations special rapporteurs have invoked the doctrine of jus cogens, under which the prohibition of tortures is absolute and non-negotiable. Their call for India to ratify the Convention Against Torture remains unanswered. The gap between India's constitutional ideals and its enforcement practices are now a matter of global record. So what is going on as a philosophy? If you look at the theory, if you look at the societal and the cultural lens, Thomas Hobbes argued that individuals cede power to the state in exchange of a security. And that creates a sovereign that prevents the chaos in the state of nature. So we all have given up, sacrificed our freedom, our independence to do things so that the society remains cohesive, harmonious, safe, and cultured. But Hobbes, according to his philosophy, also assumes that sovereign's legitimacy rests on its ability to protect life, in which case, in India's case, it is failing to do so. So when India fails itself, they themselves become the source of arbitrary violence. And that is where the social contract breaches itself. In India's custodial deaths, one sees this, and it is not an absence of state, but it's an excuse. It's a power restrained by accountability. And that is where the fundamental problem with India is. Now look at the other side. The operational logic of policing reinforces these tendencies. Officers are under severe pressure to deliver results in a system which is burdened by delays, understaffing, and a very low conviction rates. Our public prosecutors are unable to catch hold of the criminals. I am reminded of the example of Japan, where the conviction rate is about 98%. So if the public prosecutor takes up a case, it is sure shot catching the criminal. What happens in India as a result of what I'm saying is the torture has become a shortcut to extract confessions. There's another point to it. There's another layer to it. Encounters. Often it's a euphemism for extrajudicial killings, bypassing the judicial process altogether. In several states, officers associated with such actions have been valorized, glorified as encounter specialists, and they receive promotions and, sadly, public approval. So the incentives are thus aligned not with the due process, but with the demonstrable outcomes. So the state is failing as a constitution, upholding the constitution, because the prosecution is unable to convict the real criminals. And society as a whole has been looking towards extrajudicial processes, whether it is torture or actual killings, as a source of justice. The everyday face of the system is visible beyond custodial deaths. Now let's see what's happening on the street. If you remember, during COVID-19 lockdown, there were reports in cities like Delhi and Noida which documented police beating very small-time vegetable vendors, the delivery boys, and the very ordinary citizens who are actually delivering goods to the stuck families. Videos showed individuals forced to crawl on the road, slapped and humiliated, punished. And these are not hardened offenders, but usual essential service providers. So why is policing so harsh? The justification was enforcement, and the method was coercion. And the underlying message was very clear. The citizens is a subject to be disciplined. So what are these trends we are talking about? The other end of the spectrum, where any nation can easily slide into, are termed as banana republics. Those are the countries where the institutions are weak, the accountability is selective, and the coercive power of policing of the government, of the state, is personalized. So in such systems, police violence becomes a tool of governance. Extrajudicial actions are normalized, as it is becoming in India, or rather it is in India. And it is justified in the name of efficiency of the law and the security protection that it is providing to the public. On one side, it is creating a trust in the public, and other side, the public trust erodes because the legality becomes contingent. We are seeing this case in the encounter of 5 rapists in Hyderabad. I think that was in year 2023. The public didn't object to the killings of the rapists and being brought into the process of legality. So if the conviction rates are low, if the criminals are allowed to get out on bail, if the law is not enforced, then public moves towards extrajudicial processes of bringing in justice. So somewhere India is fitting into the category of a borderline case of banana republic. But India possesses a robust constitutional framework, an independent judiciary, a vibrant civil society, yet its policing practices, particularly in custodial settings, exhibit traits that are associated with weak institutional orders. And this coexistence of strong formal structure and a weak enforcement, this hybrid condition, democratic in design but coercive in practice, is troubling. Not that there are no solutions. There are solutions in terms of UN Convention Against Torture, and that created a binding legal framework. Then there are Mendes principles, which shift interrogation practices from coercion to evidence-based methods. We have to strengthen the National Human Rights Commission and ensuring the independence of oversight bodies that would enhance the accountability of the enforcement bodies. Now the problem is that the human rights have been severely violated in cases of Kashmir, while there have been controversy when terrorists have been let free because they have used human rights laws to their purposes. And therefore, the human rights as a process have been demonized in India. We do have a solution about time-bound judicial inquiries into custodial deaths. Why is that not being implemented? Why is that not made as a full transparent process for the families? So India stands between these trajectories. The choice for Indians is not abstract. It is about states' accountability. And that is what we are seeing in this particular case of Akash Delison, whose body remains unclaimed. Because all constitutions, all laws, all policing enforcements have to bring in dignity to the citizens of the country. With those troubling thoughts, I leave you until next week. Stay safe, stay informed, dutifully ask questions. At the end of the day, somebody has to stand up. Bye for now.
Dublin South FM. You wouldn't buy a car without knowing its history. So why would you buy a story without knowing who's telling it? Come here and I tell you. It's not always easy to verify what you see, read or hear. But now there's help. Visit www.bemediasmart.ie. Stop, think, check. Be Media Smart. Brought to you by Media Literacy Ireland, supported by RTE. 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Indeed, welcome back to the program, and that is indeed 93.9 Dublin South FM. So, horrific news, horrendous information that Sharad has put together. The only country in the world which has an extraordinary amount of, judicial killing and people who are imprisoned, sometime wrongfully or sometime rightfully or whatever, but there's no reason for them to die in the prison. And that is something, a disturbing thought, a news that needed to be talked about it, a view that has been talked about in the media and the press quite a lot. As you have heard, the Rajiv Sardesai, a very respectable individual and a journalist from NDTV and all that, and he's independent now. But he's talking about that as well, the very particular issue. The movies have glorified these kind of killings, So that is something to be brooded over. But what can we do? What can be done is something that only journalists can raise these issues and indeed hope that authorities will take it seriously and would do something about it. Now, talking about what is going on in the world, obviously the situation in the Middle East is getting, tense and harder. And there's no sign of, this pause that has been created a few weeks ago. And thank God that the bombs are not falling. But as the P-Texas says that it'll start again. And Mr. Trump is threatening the same thing again and again, that he should be, but legality is now kicking in. And but because of the legal process of continuing the war and going back into the action and war, it's important that people must understand this point, that it's not that easy to continue that. But the situation is tense. As I said, neither parties are beginning to, nor Iran, nor United States of America is beginning to ease their stand against it. So the Donald Trump may conduct military operations for a maximum of 60 days without congressional approval. That is their constitution. Now, the expiration date for that is, this clock is began ticking on the 25th of February, where they started following an attack launched against Iran by President Donald Trump personally, and also by the Zionist entity out there. Together, they have managed to do that. And based on the 60-day period, it's set to expire on the 1st May 2026. That is next week. And congressional stance is very, very clear. Currently, a debate is taking place within the U.S. Congress regarding whether Trump must seek official authorization for further action, or if he must halt the war and stop his nonsense rhetoric of wiping out the civilization and all that. Current war situation is that the war began on the, as you probably would know, 28th of February under the Operation Epic Fury. What kind of fury it was that converted into an economic fury. I mean, they're running out of the kind of even phrases to name the war, during which the United States and Israel launched heavy strikes against, Iran's military nuclear facilities. Now, ceasefire on the 7th or 8th of April was a temporary 2-week ceasefire. That was, in fairness, broker was Pakistan's mediators. In something, you have to give a full marks to Pakistan, as our own Shashi Tharoor has actually given this particular thing, that they have actually did the good. Jaishankar, our own foreign minister, has said dalali is the word. Dalal is a person between the two people. Anyway, and they did the mediation, and the war did stop. However, tension have recently escalated again. And following the breakdown of negotiation, there is no negotiation. I mean, see, the people don't understand. Donald Trump don't understand the culture of Persian people, Iranian people, is not to succumb to your threats. You may be a greatest negotiator in the world. You may be the richest man in the world. Who cares? And this is something Iranians are clever people. They don't succumb to cheap threats like what you make, Mr. Donald Trump. On the 13th of April, he ordered a naval blockade of Iran's port. Now, that's another double whammy. Iran was in control and in charge of the narrow passage in Hormuz, the narrow waterways in which 20% of the world's oil goes through it and the goods goes through it. Iran said, look, lot of countries in the world, Panama, Suez Canal, Egyptian, they all have they're charging their ships to go through it. We will start. So no more free lunches, no more free tracking of these ships. We have to build the infrastructure. We have to, we've been decimated by the bombings of Israel and the US. So who's going to pay for all that? America is not going to pay for it in a hurry. They might eventually, you never know. But 130 billion assets have been frozen in America of Iranian assets are not going to be released in a jiffy. So they said they come up with this idea of charging toll at the Hormuz for those ships who wants to take away their oil. And they were very successful. Quite a few countries have actually paid. Malaysia paid. India, Pakistan has paid. Most of the countries have paid. I don't know whether Pakistan has paid or not, but certain countries have already beginning to pay the $2 million per barrel, $2 million per ship, a dollar a barrel, and usually there are 2 million barrels in a ship. So 2 million per, take it away your oil, but pay 2 million here as a toll. Now encounter that, Donald Trump sends his own ship to blockade the Hormuz and driving global oil prices over 100 now it stands to $117 a barrel. This was the latest up to the 28th of April. That's the cost of the barrel of oil. So Trump is reviewing a new peace proposal from Iran, which has been proposed to him from Iran alongside his national security team. And Iran has proposed that it would reopen the Strait of Hormuz if the United States lifts its blockade. In other words, bugger off, take your ship away, and then we'll talk. This is the ultimate way to talk to a person, a despicable person like Trump. He's not the kind of guy who you talk to him in a nice way. So whatever. By the way, the attempt on his life is now coming up to that is a staged act. It's not a genuine thing. Just to prove that he's so important that people are going to kill him. Those who are going to kill him, they're going to kill him, and they'll get him eventually. But that was considered to be the staged act. And this gentleman who's been caught, some guy from California, young man who belongs to a reasonably middle-class family, educated man with a degree and everything. But it's been caught and it's been flashed all over the world that Trump's life was in danger. He's also hosting a King Charles, by the way, this week. A King Charles, the third of Britain, from our neighbor here, for the state visit. And he's leaving, by the way, or yesterday. He left yesterday, by the way. 2-day, 3-day visit to that, and rubbing shoulder with that. Perhaps he would have told, Donald Trump that, look, don't go near to the Persians and Iranians, because these are guys with a record of fighting 11 years and losing their 2 million people in that war with Saddam Hussein. Don't forget that, because this is not a nation of nincompoops. This is a brave nation of Iranian people who have signed up in case they dare to do the ground operation and ground invasion. 11,000 people have actually signed up to fight the infidels, as they call them, who are occupying the neighboring UAE, who has been, has been a very cordial partner with Israel and United States of America by helping their these guys against Iran. So they'll regret it eventually. And right now, as we speak, there are about 3,000 troops sitting in the luxurious hotel and swimming pool, swimming in UAE's man-made heaven, as a lot of people have referred to. Anyway, that's a fantastic way of looking into it. And should they be stupid enough, it's better off that they fly them back. Otherwise, they will be flown in body bags. Anyway, that is the state of affair when it comes to the Middle East. And we here are enjoying a blast, a sun. The week has been excellent all over the country. And the sun is shining, the warmth of summer, you can feel that it's happening around us. And with that note, I would take a track, because it's time to play some wonderful music. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this Bollywood track.
क्या हुआ तेरा वादा, वो कसम, वो इरादा, क्या हुआ तेरा वादा, वो कसम, वो इरादा, भूलेगा दिल जिस दिन तुम्हें, वो दिन जिंदगी का आखिरी दिन होगा। क्या हुआ तेरा वादा, वो कसम, वो इरादा, बाहों में बीती हर शाम, बेवफा ये भी क्या याद नहीं, क्या हुआ तेरा वादा, वो कसम, वो इरादा, भूलेगा दिल जिस दिन तुम्हें, वो दिन जिंदगी का आखिरी दिन होगा। क्या हुआ तेरा वादा वो कसम वो इरादा जिसने प्यार को बेच दिया नशा दौलत का ऐसा भी क्या कि तुझे कुछ भी याद नहीं क्या हुआ तेरा वादा वो कसम वो इरादा भूलेगा दिल जिस दिन तुम्हें वो दिन जिंदगी का आखिरी दिन होगा क्या हुआ
तेरा वादा जी भाइयों, that is a hit song of the I'm going to play 60s, 70s and 80s. This was from the 80s. Yadon Ki Barat was the song, was the film, and Tariq was an actor in which I think Rishi Kapoor was the man who was played the lead role. Anyway, it was Amir Khan's father's film that was produced by Mr. Nasir Hussain, a super hit film, and that was a fantastic super hit film. I remember watching it in the cinema itself. And just to share this, the anecdote with cinema, because cinema is something that has been in my blood since the childhood, since the days of my school days and all that. That was the only legitimate entertainment around. We didn't have nightclubs. We didn't have girls around. We didn't have, that kind of culture which the youth have in this country. But the only thing that we had was a cinema, abundance of cinema. So in my city of Lucknow, there were about 27 cinemas and cinema theaters, and we used to visit them regularly. In fact, we three friends of ours, we used to go together, and we sometimes bet with each other that which person has seen how many maximum number of films. And so we used to watch every little film, every feature film that had been released in that area at that time, particularly at the time of summer vacation, summer holidays when the schools were shut, and hot, really extremely hot weather. So the solace in the theater, which is a dark but air-conditioned, and you don't mind paying. It was not very expensive in those days, but probably it was, perhaps from the point of view of the kind of service you get there. You get a quality screening, fantastic soundtracks, fantastic, a print, real print in those days, no digital print, the real print, celluloid, and then you have air-conditioned, and you just, bliss. 3 hours would go enjoying that particular film, and then you come out in the hot weather of blowing on your face and that kind of thing. Oh, horrible. Anyway, that's something that inculcated in me from those days that I will become the man of cinema. Yes, I became the man of cinema. I am the man of cinema. Why? What am I doing in radio? Because it's also a part and parcel of the medium, talking about films, talking about songs, talking about the news of the world. And I love a radio because I reach to your ears regularly every week, diligently trying to inform you, entertain you, and let you know what's going on in the world. Anyway, so sit back, relax, and enjoy another particularly beautiful song called Roop Tera Mastana, Pyar Mera Deewana, Bhool Koi Mujhse Na Ho Jaye.
मेरी भीगी भीगी सी पलकों पे रह गए जैसे मेरे सपने बिखर के, जले मन तेरा भी किसी के मिलन को, अनामिका तू भीतर से मेरी भीगी भीगी सी, मेरी भीगी भीगी सी पलकों पे रह गए जैसे मेरे सपने बिखर के, जले मन तेरा भी किसी के मिलन को, अनामिका तू भीतर से मेरी भीगी भीगी सी। तुझे बिन जाने बिन पहचाने मैंने हृदय से लगाया, तुझे बिन जाने बिन पहचाने मैंने हृदय से लगाया, पर मेरे प्यार के बदले में तूने मुझको ये दिन दिखलाया, जैसे बिरहा की रुत मैंने काटी तड़प के आहें भर भर के, जले मन तेरा भी किसी के मिलन को, अनामिका तू भीतर से मेरी भीगी भीगी सी। आग से नाता नारी से रिश्ता, काहे मन समझ न पाया, आग से नाता नारी से रिश्ता, काहे मन समझ न पाया, मुझे क्या हुआ था एक बेवफा पे, हाय मुझे क्यों प्यार आया, तेरी बेवफाई पे हंसे जग सारा, गली गली गुजरे जिधर से, जले मन तेरा भी किसी के मिलन को, अनामिका तू भीतर से मेरी भीगी भीगी सी, मेरी भीगी भीगी सी पलकों पे रह गए जैसे मेरे सपने बिखर के, जले मन तेरा भी किसी के मिलन को, अनामिका तू भीतर से मेरी भीगी भीगी सी।
कहीं दूर जब दिन ढल जाए, सांझ की दुल्हन बदन चुराए चुपके से आए, कहीं दूर जब दिन ढल जाए, सांझ की दुल्हन बदन चुराए चुपके से आए, मेरे ख्यालों के आंगन में कोई सपनों के दीप जलाए, दीप जलाए, कहीं दूर जब दिन ढल जाए, सांझ की दुल्हन बदन चुराए चुपके से आए। कभी यूं ही जब हुई बोझल सांसें भर आई बैठे बैठे जब यूं ही आंखें। कभी यूं ही जब हुई बोझल सांसें भर आई बैठे बैठे जब यूं ही आंखें। तभी मचल के प्यार से चल के छुए कोई मुझे पर नजर न आए, नजर न आए। कहीं दूर जब दिन ढल जाए सांझ की दुल्हन बदन चुराए चुपके से आए। कहीं तो ये दिल कभी मिल नहीं पाते, कहीं से निकल आए जन्मों के नाते। कहीं तो ये दिल कभी मिल नहीं पाते, कहीं से निकल आए जन्मों के नाते। है मीठी उलझन गैरी अपना मन अपना ही होके सहे दर्द पर आए, दर्द पर आए। कहीं दूर जब दिन ढल जाए सांझ की दुल्हन बदन चुराए चुपके से आए।
This is another beautiful song, and Kishorda, and Manna Dey, actually, not Kishorda, and a lovely, lovely song, film on Mr. Rajesh Khanna itself. But talking about the music, we are having a dhamaka coming soon on the 18th of June here at the Leopardstown Racecourse. Yes, Ayushman events are going to bring Sunny Leone in a sunny Dublin. And Sunny Leone with the Punjabi MC and many other wonderful musicians, a Punjabi Bhangra band, Bhangra Shamrock, Bhangra Kanwar, and all those guys are going to perform. Many other side act, like our own Dr. Das, who's going to perform as well, and many other acts are going to be performing this open air concert. The first time ever bigger artist, coming over to Dublin, and more are aligned. I'm not going to talk about the more ones, but this one, yes, I'm trying to push it as much as I can, but I really like to support this concert. This is a fantastic opportunity for people to really shake their leg and heads and body, entire body, while watching Sunny Leone, who is basically is a DJ, in fact. She is rocking and cracking and indeed, disc jockeying, that kind of stuff, and fantastic actor, all the way from Canada, made it in Mumbai and now traveling the world. So take a note, book your ticket. It's on Eventbrite. This is called the Bollywood Rockers or Bollywood Concert, the biggest Bollywood concert so far in town. So, take your time in order to, don't take your time. Sorry, what I'm saying. Don't take your time. Do it before it gets sold out, because the tickets are really flying. And that's happening on the 18th of, what's the dates? Check it out. It's the Bollywood Sunny Leone concert. 18th of June, and it's in the Leopardstown Racecourse. So the time is really running out, and I've got just about a time to say one more song, or play one more song, should I say, before I say goodbye. So just to thank you for tuning me in today. Lovely weather, lovely program. I hope you liked it. You like the seriousness of the program, of Sharad's contributions and Charmaine's news all the way from India. Some good, some bad, and this is what the world we live in. Some good, some bad. Anyway, a war is not looming right now. It is looming, but it's not happening right now. It's happening actually in Lebanon. And the Zionist entity is smashing innocent people. I mean, what a world we live in. The villagers who have nothing else to do with the war, they've been bombarded right, left, and center every day by the Zionist regime in order to occupy and invade the southern Lebanon. Litani River, across the road from the Litani River, they have occupied a substantial amount of land, and they just killed, scores of people, dismantled schools, hospitals, and nobody is saying anything about it. This is the frustrated thing. I mean, I really have time for our own Richard Boyd Barrett, who really at the top of his voice shouts in the parliament, in the Dáil. Poor guy had a throat cancer and survived and recovered from that. But even then, he is really is the only voice in town, I would say, in Dublin, in Ireland, who would be, shouting at the top of his voice, complaining about it, that nobody gives a damn about the poor loss of lives. Anyway, that's the world we live in, unfortunately. So do your bit and do whatever you can. Raise the matter, social media, newspaper, anywhere you can. In your WhatsApp group, read and research and all that. So bye for now, and enjoy this particularly last track. And I'll be back same time, same place next week. Don't forget to tune me in. Bye for now.
ना जाने क्या हो जाता, जाने हम क्या कर जाते, ना जाने क्या हो जाता, जाने हम क्या कर जाते, पीते हैं तो जिंदा है, ना पीते तो मर जाते, दुनिया जो प्यासा रखे तो मदिरा प्यास बुझाए, मदिरा जो प्यास लगाए।